All right, to discuss further, we're joined by David Lewis from Corruption Watch, that of course has been watching all these claims closely. Welcome to you, David.
Thank you.
Starting with what's new, we chatted yesterday, McKinsey today, again suggesting that it's something of a victim, saying it didn't authorize the payments to Trillian, it didn't know about any Gupta-links, it's willing to pay back the money, but it's not involved in corruption. Your response?
Nonsense. I mean, we have direct evidence to the contrary. I mean, we're cooperating with the US Department of Justice in their investigation, and we're happy to cooperate with the South African authorities now that they seem to be finally getting off their hands. But McKinsey are in this up to their necks. A lot of the denials today, like they didn't authorize payment, but everybody's seen the letter authorizing payment. They say the letter shouldn't have been written. It was written, and payment was made in consequence of that letter, and all the denials that they didn't know that these were Gupta-linked companies. We have evidence to the contrary as well.
We were talking about that US Department of Justice investigation earlier. Do we know how far that is along? Claims that the FBI also looking at this?
I can't really comment on that, but let's just say that we are certainly wanting to cooperate with them and are cooperating with them.
And so they're reaching out for information from South Africa?
They're interested in the matter, yeah.
CIPC, the Companies and Intellectual Property Commission, has brought charges, and if you look at those, so this is a round of criminal charges, which a lot of people have been wanting. I was looking at them: KPMG for giving legal advice, McKinsey for not having a subcontracting agreement in place with Trillian. This isn't big smoking gun state capture stuff, but will it come down to where they flouted the law in smaller ways?
Yeah, these are criminal contraventions of the Companies Act, and they are serious contraventions. I mean, they're not as sexy as bribery and corruption, but I mean, then, remember Al Capone went to jail for tax evasion rather than for murder. And it's these kind of things that trip these kind of companies up. And so I think that what the CIPC are doing is important, and as is the Companies Act important, and the provision of the Companies Act under which they brought these charges are significant.
And I guess stickable, easy to prosecute.
I would have thought so, yeah.
Will we then get the big prosecution, it's always said bribery and corruption is very difficult to prove, or do you think that evidence is hanging around? It
is, the evidence, not only in relation to the McKinsey, Trillian, Eskom saga, but in relation to a whole bunch of things is very clear. And if it wasn't clear before the leak of the emails, it's really clear now. I mean, this is a situation where the media and civil society organizations have done incredible work in revealing the evidence, and I think that these are companies that have felt very sure about their protection and very sure about the supine character of the criminal justice authorities. The consequence is they've left a lot of evidence lying around. I mean, evidence that would not be normally that easy to gather, and it's there in bucket loads. And so I think these are always complicated prosecutions, but the NPA has got a lot of catching up to do. I mean, these investigations should have started a hell of a long time ago, because, as I say, the evidence has been there pretty much in the public domain for everybody to see for a long time.
And we were saying yesterday that it seemed like the courts were on board a month ago at least. The NPA, are you confident that this will go all the way? And how do you envisage this happening now? Commission on state capture, does that then lead to further court cases?
No, it might, but there is no call to suspend any criminal investigations or any criminal prosecutions while the commission is sitting. And I fear that you're going to start hearing these kind of things. Commissions are very often used for that purpose. Don't say anything, don't do anything, wait for the commission to report, give the commission as broad a terms of reference as possible so that it takes a long time to reach its conclusion, and there are very diverse conclusions. This is a time-honored way that governments find to use commissions, and we have to make that very clear that the criminal justice investigations continue, and they've got nothing to do with the commission whatsoever.
All right, so there shouldn't be any sort of delay. What about the UK? We've spoken about the US. Peter Hain saying there should be money laundering investigations all over the world, and could that be a game changer?
Yeah, no, I think that it is. I mean, I think the international pressure and the interest of international law enforcement agencies, and this has been a bit of a game changer. I mean, I think it's one of the factors, only one of the factors that may have finally embarrassed the NPA into taking action. But I think these are important, and I think it has important effects on South Africa's reputation, to not be seen to be enforcing its own laws, to not be seen to be pursuing corruption that has occurred to the prejudice of its citizens and its fiscus. I think it's going to take some persuading of the world to have them believe that we uphold the rule of law, and we uphold contracts, and we uphold our own procurement regulations and illicit financial flow regulations. This is important.
But also for the companies, Hogan Lovells now, KPMG, SAP, Standard Chartered in the UK, McKinsey. Have you ever seen anything like this? The potential for damage to massive global companies here?
Yeah, no, it's happened. I mean, you know, most famously to companies like Siemens. We saw in our own arms deal, we saw the involvement of large, they were all German, British, French, Swedish, you name it. They were all implicated in it. And there should have been prosecutions around that as well. So yeah, you know, companies, some companies, not all companies, you know, do what the market can bear. They'll obey, you know, one set of practices. They'll behave according to one sort of set of practices in Denmark, and when they get down south, they'll behave differently, and they need to be really brought to book for that.
And you've raised the arms deal, and those companies are still operating quite fine. So, so we don't have a great precedent.
Yeah. No, we don't. But I think I think this might be a game changer, actually.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. David Lewis from Corruption Watch. Peter.